All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are now live in prime time on the brightest lights, the biggest stage, the only platform where all zebra matters and well, all wrestling matters. And boy, our guest, figuratively and literally, might be one of the most powerful men to have come on this platform. You think about it, a little short while ago, we heard from a man who's got a pretty powerful voice, and the legendary Zebra frontman and guitarist Randy Jackson. You might be wondering, how do we follow it up? Well, we've got a German dread who's going to tell us why, figuratively and literally, not only is he going to kill a war bear, he very well might break the ring over in Thunder Mountain Wrestling, especially their next show coming up next Saturday. And Thunder Mountain Wrestling has certainly been friends of us here on Sportswire Radio, and we're going to talk about that match, that base brawl. We're going to talk about the champion versus champion match. We're going to talk about what's next for our guests. We're going to talk about tomorrow in Apex Wrestling. We're going to talk about a slew of different things here because this man, who's actually been a topic here in the past, and no, I'm not going to bring up World War Stud Bronson with them because we're going to certainly not, let's say, get this man even more angry than it, because after all, he is a dread. And no, not to quote Megadeth, dread in the fugitive mind, because, well, the only fugitive mind he has is going to wind up being for what he is going to do, especially next Saturday, to Mr. Victor Ursus. Boy, I'm excited to talk about that. But before we go and get this show on the road, I know that our guest has probably done things like this before and had interview after interview, but we do things differently on Sports Radio because I kind of introduce you in a way that you'll probably not get introduced the way you will next Saturday on Thunder Mountain. And I know my chat's starting to percolate in here, and I am now going to give you an introduction like you've probably never got. No, later on in the show, I'll be sure, sir, to give you something because I don't want to turn into Victor Ursus or any of your future upcoming opponents here in the next month. So, ladies and gentlemen, let's now introduce our guest here on Style on Sportswire Radio, the number one global radio station where all wrestling matters. So, with that, wait for further ado here on the Sports Report. Number one, Global Sports Show. A man that is one of the most powerful and dominant wrestlers, not only in the Southwest professional wrestling scene, but in all of the world of professional wrestling. A man that has been doing it for over 15 years. He's the reigning, defending American Warrior Wrestling Alliance United States champion of the world. His name is, simply put, Ramrock. The champ is here, my friend. How are we doing?
That was the greatest introduction anybody has ever given me in my entire career. Reverend Tom Bryce, you are the man. Thank you so much for having me on this show.
Check is in the mail, although to be fair, my last few months have been pretty good. I've had Rhino, Savio Vega, King's X Doug Pinnick, who just opened for Tool, and I was featured in Blabbermouth.net, the heavy metal version of Rolling Stone. Today was Randy Jackson, and he looked at me like, wow, yeah, I sing, but that was pretty good. And now you just followed that up. And oh, by the way, in between that, the Alpha Zoe was here, Skrilla was here, and they've one guy wrestled Lexus King right before he won the Heritage Cup in NXT, and Alpha Zoe was just in Ring of Honor. So it's been a great run, but I'll take that more than anything else. And it's good to be with you, but I know you are a busy man. You are going to do a lot of damage here coming up, and I have to talk about Thunder Mountain Wrestling, especially next Saturday. You have a match, as I stated, that is probably going to break the ring. I don't even know how they're going to keep the ring up here and even for future shows. And let's talk about it, because it's going to be the German Dread versus the War Bear, the Ramrock versus Victor Ursus, champion for champion. So for those that are listening and watching in prime time on the brightest lights, the biggest stage, the only platform where all wrestling matters, Sportzwire Radio, the German Dread, the Ramrock. Tell us what we can expect next Saturday at Thunder Mountain Wrestling between you and the one and only, the War Bear, Victor Ursus.
Well, all these wrestling fans need to understand that Victor Ursus and the Ramrock are certainly no strangers to each other. You know, a long time ago, maybe 3-4 years ago, War Bear and Ramrock butted heads, quite literally, in the middle of the desert in El Centro, California. Not a lot of fans probably know about that fight. And so at Base Brawl, in just, 2 weeks away, we have potentially a match that can destroy the entire ring. We are going to set Douglas, Arizona on fire. Oh, excuse me, Fort Huachuca on fire.
Now, I'll put the poster up in a minute. I actually do have the poster, so don't worry about that. We'll take care of that. But, you know, you said something interesting. And Champ, I want to go back to that, because we were talking before we went on the air. We were talking about 3 or 4 years ago, VWE, and I think I might actually, in a way, remember hearing about that somewhere. And so tell me, for the audience, and even the Thunder Mountain Wrestling fans, a lot of them are here and they're going to tune into this. And how much have you thought about that showdown that you had with Victor Ursus, and how is that going to play into what's going to be between you and him next weekend at Thunder Mountain Wrestling?
Well, you see, in that match, it was a tag team match, and I was with my brother Ryan Riven. We were together. We were Downfall Cathedral, and we were facing the War Bear. And please forgive me, I cannot remember his name, but
it doesn't even matter.
He was a clown, quite literally. And the one thing that I remember that match was staring across that ring, going, "I'm keeping this clown in the ring because that big War Bear over there looks mean. So I want to keep this guy in the ring because I can beat up this guy." And
I could see that.
Yeah, you know, strategy. You know, this is just veteran instincts. You know, I don't want to tangle with the big guy. I want to keep this guy. You know, I want to keep the smaller guy over here. You know, so we can take him out. And yeah. Anyways, that clown was actually a lot smarter than I gave him credit for, because he brought a rubber chicken in the ring, dropped it in the ring. I didn't see it because I was so mad at him. I went chasing him, slipped right in the rubber chicken. Yeah, embarrassing match. Downfall Cathedral, though, Ryan Riven and the Ramrock, we did end up winning that match, but it was a hell of a war. And let me tell you, that match also, it was like 110 degrees. We were literally outdoors.
Well, you said you're in the desert. I mean, that's just the dry heat, and I'm surprised you guys walked afterwards. And you know, the
War Bear's paint kind of melted off pretty quickly.
Yeah, I would imagine. I mean, I don't know what the strategy was in putting the face paint up, but all right. So you faced him before. I mean, but it's different. It's 3.5, 4 years since. You've become a different wrestler. You've obviously evolved. He's certainly evolved. He had 45 matches last year. I mean, so going into it, what's the preparation? I know you're going to be in the ring tomorrow at Apex Wrestling, so maybe that gives you an advantage because you're in the ring tomorrow, and that kind of keeps you fresh. But what's the preparation in a match like this? You were dominant the last Thunder Mountain Wrestling show. You won the Tenny Invitational. He destroyed Angel Pureheart. I mean, so, like, what is the strategy going into next Saturday?
Here's the strategy right here. A lot of people may say it's foolish for me defending this AWWA United States Championship everywhere that I can, as many times as I can, against any challengers that I can. But that's what I'm trying to do. You got to understand, this is my final year in professional wrestling, and that championship is my legacy. And here's the thing. You only get so many world heavyweight championship opportunities. I've been in this business for over 15 years, and I can count on one hand how many heavyweight title opportunities I've had. So against Victor Ursus, this is a massive match for me. This is a massive opportunity because I'm getting an opportunity at the Thunder Mountain Wrestling World Heavyweight Championship. So in terms of preparation, yeah, I'm training my tail off at the gym every single day. I'm doing 30, 45 an hour of cardio on the Stairmaster every single day, weights, heavy lifting, and staying fresh in the ring. Booker T said it best. Downtime is the absolute worst thing for you.
Yeah, it's funny you said that. It's funny that you said that because I had Randy Jackson on of Zebra. They're celebrating 50 years in Rock, and we were talking about this, and Randy said that, and it applies for wrestling too. I have to keep my voice in shape. I have to keep performing. There's no layoffs, and you lay off your vocal cords. They don't work and act as well, and you got to perform. And it's the same thing as an athlete. It's funny that you said that. So yeah, downtime is the enemy for anybody. Idle hands certainly make for idle time at the devil's hands. And but you said something else, and I'm going to get to Ryan, of course, who does a great job at Thunder Mountain. We're going to get to him. I know he's back with us here in the chat. But you've been in this game a long time, but haven't gotten that many World Heavyweight Championship shots. So I'm going to ask you then this question here. What would it mean to you, the German Dread, the one and only the Ramrock, to win next Saturday the Thunder Mountain Wrestling Heavyweight Championship of the World? What would that mean to you?
I'm not going to say if, I'm going to say when, because you have to be confident when you're going into this. And so when I win that Thunder Mountain World Heavyweight Championship, this will make my third heavyweight championship victory of my career. It would mean the absolute world to me. It means the world to me. I have to, and you got to also understand, my last heavyweight title reign, it's a little embarrassing. It was 1 week long. I need to redeem that. I've already redeemed it as the United States champion. I've been champion for almost 6 months now.
Yep. I actually spoke, I wasn't going to bring up Mr. Bronson, but, we obviously showed the match there with the Super Vader Championship, and you've rebounded. Like you said, it's about 6 months, and that's, an accomplishment in itself. But it is, at this point, this is the last year of your career. So every match, it's almost like that's it. It's like, again, we had Randy on a Zebra, and they're working on a new album, and it could be the last one because they haven't had an album in so long. And it's almost every match, I think it's magnified times 10, right? Because this is the last year of your career. Yesterday, Homicide wrestles his final match, and, there's a lot of congratulations, and, a lot of people are talking about that. But this Saturday, I know you were at Apex, but at Thunder Mountain next weekend, that could be the last world heavyweight title shot of your career. I mean, this is going to be magnified times 10 at Base Brawl next Saturday.
Absolutely. I mean, you literally took the words right out of my mouth. This could be my very last opportunity at a world heavyweight championship. And so I want to make sure that I go into this match, I's dotted, T's crossed. I want there to be no doubt at all that I'm going to go in there and win this title. Now, the thing is, as far as strategy is concerned, and Will Bear, I hope you're listening to this, I'm keeping eyes in the back of my head. I know how sneaky and deceiving he is. If we all saw what happened at the last Thunder Mountain Wrestling show, he tore Angel Pureheart apart. But guess who came out and helped him in the end and sided with him? He somehow deceived that young man and convinced him to join his team. So I have to keep eyes in the back of my head because I have no idea what the War Bear is going to bring this Saturday or next Saturday. He might just try to bring Angel Pureheart, to sneak into the ring. I have to be prepared for all scenarios.
Well, are you worried about the numbers? Okay, great point. Are you worried about the numbers game?
Of course, I'm worried about the numbers game. I don't know else the War Bear has deceived. I mean, we saw what the Peacemakers went through. You
Yep.
know, the Peacemakers have gone through absolute hell over
Look at
this
the
last
animal.
year.
Yeah, I mean, oh my goodness, it's just crazy. It's just
Exactly. And yeah, you know, Stud Bronson and I nearly killed each other last year.
yeah.
But
I
what's
showed the match
ironic,
here live on Sports. I showed it here. Stud was here. He came back for the first time in a while. It was like over a year, and we showed that match almost in its entirety. Yeah, I mean that was just in itself. I think next Saturday is going to be even more magnified than what you and World War Stud Bronson put each other through. And that was a dog collar too.
I absolutely would not put anything past Victor Ursus. I'm not going to anticipate anything less than the absolute best. He has been the dominant Thunder Mountain Wrestling World Heavyweight Champion for the past 6 months. So yeah, absolutely. I'm going into this fight fully prepared, knowing that Victor Ursus is probably got some tricks up his sleeve, and I've got to keep eyes in the back of my head. And you know what? I'm glad that you brought up World War Stud, because I think that dog collar match, as much as we destroyed each other, as much as we maimed each other and tore the flesh off each other and beat the hell out of each other,
yeah.
I think we earned each other's respect. In fact, ironically enough, I think it's safe to say we almost became friends. Isn't that crazy?
Well, I think
you beat the hell out of each other so much, you end up becoming friends.
And and that was certainly a personal match, and I won't go into some of that because we're at a different point. But I think in a way you did push Stud to the point where he was able to score a victory that people are still talking about to this day in defeating Savio Vega. I had both men on here to promote that match. So in many ways, you're responsible for World War Stud Bronson maybe getting the biggest victory of his career. I mean, think about that, what you put him through, what you did in that dog collar match and getting him into the conditioning that he went through. That, I think, prepared him for that match with Savio Vega, where he retained the Super Vader Championship and defeated Savio Vega, a man that's responsible, a lot of people would say, for the career of Stone Cold Steve Austin.
Absolutely. If I'm Savio Vega's version of Stone Cold Steve Austin for Stud Bronson, I will take that as the highest honor and highest accomplishment. Because in that dog collar match,
yep,
I gave Stud everything I had. I hit him with every move that I had.
I watched it here.
I beat him. I choked him. I slammed him. I made him bleed. And that man would not give up.
And you did it in front of his family, nonetheless. You did it in front of his family. And that showed how intense and how personal that match was. But before I put some Thunder Mountain Wrestling links here, let me come up to Ryan Russell, because he's obviously always going to do a lot of great things. I'll say hello to everybody here in the chat in a few minutes. But yeah, Victor is definitely a different beast, but I think you've answered the preparation. And yes, you were the first ever Super Vader champion. And it would be for an honor, for sure, for Ramrock to have his name etched on the Thunder Mountain Wrestling Heavyweight Championship. But he did say that, the War Bear is sneaky, and you have to, like I said, you have to watch that. You have to watch Victor Ursus. Like you said, you saw what he did, convincing Pure Heart to join his side. Look at what he's put the Peacemakers through. And I mean, I know you're a veteran. You've been here 15 years in this game, but he's just a different cat. He's a bear. He's a war bear.
He is, absolutely. And that's the thing about bears, just like in the wild, they are completely unpredictable. You may think you have him cornered. You may think you have the best. You may think you be out of his grasp. And just like that, boom, he's got you. And so, yeah, absolutely. That is the best comment that I've read. The war bear is sneaky, and that's exactly what I need to prepare myself for. Doesn't matter how many hours you put in the gym. Doesn't matter how many hours you do in the cardio, you can't necessarily prepare for the numbers game or for what he's got up his sleeve. You just never know. So yeah, absolutely. This is going to be an incredible fight. It's going to be a psychological fight just as much as it will be a physical fight.
It's got a big fight feel. Thunder Mountain shows get big crowds. They're huge turnouts. They get a lot of buzz on social media. I've done some work with Thunder Mountain quite a bit over the past several months. I know Stud Bronson for a long time. And if you are here, because I see some people coming now into the stream, Thunder Mountain Wrestling's YouTube page, Thunder Mountain Wrestling. Do me a favor. Go hit the sub button for them. I'm going to put the Instagram page up. I'm going to put the Ramrock's Instagram page up here. And I promise you, it's going to be a big fight feel. It's going to take place on March 28th. It's going to be on Friday. It's for the troops. It's a big game atmosphere, and we're all doing it here for the right reasons. We thank our troops. We thank everybody that goes out there and everybody that's behind Thunder Mountain Wrestling. And my name is the Reverend Tom Bryce, your voice, figuratively and literally, where all wrestling matters here. I'll come back to the one and only Victor Ursus in a minute, but what did it mean to win the Tenny Invitational last show? What did that mean to you?
It was a tremendous honor. I didn't know Tenny personally, but Stud did. Stud was very close with him. And prior to going into that night, Stud pulled me aside and he told me his story about Tenny. And, obviously with any professional wrestling match, you go in there to win, And so I came down to Sierra Vista with the intention of winning the Tenny Invitational regardless. But after Stud had told me that story, I mean, it just motivated me that much more to win the whole thing. And look at this right here. Isn't that a gorgeous trophy?
Oh my goodness, that's like winning an Oscar almost. It's like
an Oscar. This is just as good.
It looks
as
like winning the
Masters.
It looks the Masters. It could be a mini version of winning the NBA championship, the NBA finals. I mean, I'll tell you what, that is impressive. That's one of the most impressive things. I've been doing this over 6 years, champ. That's one of the most impressive pieces of gold I've ever seen in my career.
Absolutely. And thanks to the good folks over at Thunder Mountain Wrestling,
Amen.
This stays in my collection. This stays in my trophy case forever. This can never be taken away. I don't have to defend this. This stays in my trophy case. I love it. I absolutely love it.
And Ryan asked, have you drank out of the cup? He said, just kidding. It's not the Stanley Cup. I would hope it's not like the Stanley Cup.
Hey Ryan, I'll tell you what. I'm going to drink Victor Ursus's blood from the Tenny Cup. How does that sound?
Definitely sounds juicy for some in the audience. And it is both days, yes, and which I did mention. It's free admission, so you have to go out there and support. Let me ask you, though, this question. I know I got to get through a lot of things in a short amount of time, but you've been doing this 15 years. Now, I get a lot of different wrestlers that come on here, and some of them are transitioning from backyard and underground into the independent. Some of them have just joined the independent wrestling circuit. And I ask you, what are some advice that you would give to any up-and-coming wrestlers? What advice would you give to someone like yourself who's been doing this a long time and has had a lot of success?
Sure. I absolutely love this question. So first things first, the very first thing that I'm going to tell somebody is you better get into the best cardiovascular shape ever. I don't care how big and strong you are. If you can't breathe in that ring, you can't do this job. So that's step number one. Step number two is mentally prepare yourself for a lot of no's and a lot of rejections. And you have to, if you can't mentally take that, then this business definitely is not for you. So if those are the first two things that I would tell anybody would be, you need to make sure that your cardio is top notch. You have to be able to breathe to survive in that ring. And yeah, you're going to get told a lot of no's in this business. So you have to mentally be prepared for that. If you can get past all that, then I guess depending on the age, we do have a lot of young up and comers coming up in the business. I would probably say go get yourself in college and go play some sports. Try to make a name of yourself.
It's funny you said that. I had a wrestler come on here a little over a year ago who was a college baseball player, but figured out that he wasn't going to quite have the success, maybe playing independent ball or in the minor leagues. And he decided to become a wrestler. He decided that he went through it, and he's had some success here in the Northeast scene. And the guy Dan Stovko, and interesting that there is a transition. You're seeing that certainly in WWE and AEW, guys go out and wrestle, whether it's in, again, football players, they have backgrounds in basketball. That's an interesting piece of advice because of the training and the conditioning. You're already conditioned as an athlete, that if you can get the hang of training, that maybe that gives you an advantage, I suppose.
Here's the thing. If you're trying to become a professional wrestler, if that's your passion, most likely your ultimate goal is to be signed by the WWE or one of
Yeah,
the other major companies. That's probably going to be your number one goal.
sure.
Some people may come in and be fine being weekend warriors and working the indies, and there's nothing wrong with that either. That's just fine. But for the new, bright-eyed, bushy-tailed people who were wanting to get into this business, they want to be signed. They want to make the money. They want to get the good contracts. They want to become the superstars. And the way you do that is you go to college and you play professional sports, because that is what the WWE looks for. They want people that already know how to eat right, that are already trained, as you said, trained athletes that are disciplined. So
Because
that
you got to look the part, and I get a lot of
Mhm.
different people on here. Rhino talked about you got to look the part, you got a certain way, and I think
Yep.
that that's a part of it. I think you can't just come in and you might be able to wrestle, but you got to look like you're in shape. It's like anything else. It's all about marketability. It's all about how do I sell someone? I mean, I'm not going to sell someone that's got 420 pounds at 5'9". No disrespect to anybody, but you got to go out there and hit the gym. You got to go out there, and take care of your face and take care of just your looks. And I think, obviously, take care of who you are and promote who you are. And I think that is good advice. But, let me ask you, though, this. I always ask this to wrestlers here, anybody that comes on here. I know this is your last year, but what are your goals then for this year? Is it to win next Saturday, or what are the goals left here in this last 9 months of your career?
So yeah, my goal for the last 9 months of my career is to leave professional wrestling a better place
You
than
left
when
it.
I first came in. And I really feel like right now wrestling is in a much better place than when I first came in. When I first came in and broke into this business, locker rooms was full of people drinking, doing drugs, doing other illegal things. You hardly see that at all
Yeah, I did a lot
nowadays.
of coverage. I still do in the UK, and they are still getting over the speak out movement, which was just a terrible
Yeah,
thing where, really like
yeah,
it set a lot of people back there in the independent circuit.
absolutely. And there is still, unfortunately, some of that stuff that happens, which is unfortunate. But
Yeah.
overall, I really feel like the locker room has cleaned up tremendously. Um, the one thing that, and this might get a little bit of heat, so
No, it's
but
okay. Well, I'll do my best to cover you. I'll do my
I'm gonna
best.
go ahead and say it anyways. Like,
Okay. All right.
while there's not, the drinking, the drugs, the partying, the things like that that's happening so much in the locker room, um, that's cleaned up. That's gotten a lot better. But we've also lost a lot of what's called paying dues in the business, and that's something that I really feel like the newer class, the newer people
Yeah,
coming
you know
into our
what? That's a
business
great point. As we're
don't really
talking
have.
with the American Warrior Wrestling Alliance United States Champion, the one and only the Ramrock. My name is the Reverend Tom Bryce. We're getting you ready for Thunder Mountain Wrestling's next show coming up. Also, we'll talk about a few other things. The Ramrock is here to promote. My name is the Reverend Tom Bryce. You have voice figuratively and literally all wrestling. Yeah, it is a good point because I do believe that wrestling is like an apprenticeship. And I have a friend of mine who's a wrestler here in the Northeast, in the New York, New Jersey area. And he's, worked his way up. He was trained at a House of Glory, and, he's made a name for himself, Chris Urban and the Independents. And, I do believe you got to pay your dues, whether it's helping set up the ring, whether it's being there on time, whether it's being there and shaking everybody's hands, or, being, a model citizen. I think it's like anything else. And I think that, yeah, it is a lost art, but I think it's also because just like what you said about places like WWE, for example, they have this NXT Performance Center where people walk in there and they're not going out there. It's like I had Randy Jackson earlier today, and he took 8 years to get signed to Atlantic Records. Why? Because, well, he had to go play all these different clubs and places, and it took him time. Whereas now, because we have social media, because we have now the WWE ID program, because we have the NXT Performance Center, people can just go out there and walk into some beautiful 40,000 square foot building, and they pay, what they do, and they go in there and they get straight right into central casting. Or you have places like, AEW has, where, through QT Marshall and everywhere, it's not what it was even 15 years ago. We didn't have the NXT Performance Center. We didn't have these WWID programs. Social media was just starting in its infant stages to what it is today. And yeah, I do think there is something about going and maybe wrestling 3 times a week in the independents and driving 4 hours or 5 hours to each place or 3 hours, whatever it is, and then getting that in-ring experience, but also learning from the veterans like yourself that maybe have the knowledge, that have had some success, and maybe have gone out and done things that maybe can prepare that wrestler. Whereas maybe I'm going into a WWID program, I'm going into the Performance Center, I'm not gaining those things. I'm just going out there. I'm definitely getting this stuff, but you see it when they go on to TV. That their in-ring experience is far less than it would have been when you started out all those years ago.
Well, yeah, like that's the most beautiful thing about the indies is you have to wrestle so many different experience levels, different sizes, different shapes, different everything, and that's what we do. That's our business, is you have to adapt and adjust constantly in the ring. And so I feel like if you don't get that experience and then you get into a point in your match where you don't, something unexpected happens, which happens all the time.
Yeah.
People freeze, and then you've completely exposed everything, and it's an absolute nightmare. And that's the beauty of the indies, is the indies teaches you how to overcome and adapt those situations. So yeah, absolutely, it is a form of art that I feel like is leaving. But thankfully, the WWE has brought the WWID program, and Gabe Sapolsky basically spearheaded that program. I went to his seminar, and it was a fantastic seminar. I recommend anybody, if you have an opportunity to go listen to that man, go listen to that man. He knows what he's talking about.
Yeah, it's funny that you talked about the program, because I had on the Alpha Zoe, who again who actually had a match in AEW Elevation TV, and he just had a match at Ring of Honor alongside Can't Stop Jamal. And shout out to my dear friend Mr. Darryl Johnson. And he talked about the program, though, that it wasn't for him. He's been in the PWI 500 a couple times, and he felt that he wanted the experience in the indies. He wanted that experience to get him, he felt, in a way that it's good, the program, but he has his opinions in other ways to promote. So it's an interesting perspective. I do want to say, if you're here on Instagram, go give the Ramrock a follow. Definitely check him out. We're going to talk about his next match coming up here in a minute. I want to say hello to a few other people that are tuned in. I want to say hello to Zilla, who is our resident chatter. She is our number one. And Zilla, go follow Ramrock on Instagram. I want to say hello to my guest coming up on Thursday, the controversial one, Kato. Wanted to say hello. Ryan formerly called you a big bad man. And yeah, next week is going to be 2 meaty men slapping meat around. Yeah, good point. Thank you, Ryan. And Victor Ursus is watching, hopefully. Well, he knows about it on Instagram, so I'm sure when I put the clip up in a little while, he'll find out regardless, so don't worry about that. Want to say hello to my buddy, Mr. Texas Red, Mr. Rocky himself, the owner of Texas Promo Wrestling. Want to say hello, and he's getting ready to go to the gym, and he put me on, so I appreciate that, my brother. And starting to warm up in Arizona. This match will bring more heat for sure. Yeah, bring some of that heat here. I'm in New York. I could use some of it, although it wasn't a bad winter, but lately he's been kind of choppy. My buddy Abram Storm from the confines of North Carolina. If you're here on YouTube, you can see Thunder Mountain Wrestling coverage and all some of the match content and different things like that. Victor Ursus, number of things. I'm going to put that match poster back up here in a few minutes, so we'll do that. And Ryan loved the advice. The AWWA stands for the American Warrior Wrestling Alliance, and that is the United States champion there, the one and only Mr. the German Dread, the one and only the Ramrock. Zilla appreciates you, which is good, and she likes Stud Bronson. That's okay. They're not wrestling each other next week, so that's fine. Thank you, Ryan, for your support. Want to say hello to my buddy all the way from Australia, Mr. Robert Campbell, a.k.a. Mr. Robbie Ryan. We're doing great. Want to say hello to my buddy, another guy that looks like you with a lot of tattoos, is Mr. Jake Dvorak, the unholy Dvorak. He was in your chair Tuesday. So, yeah, it's been an interesting last few days. I had like 17 wrestlers yesterday. I had Jake Dvorak on Tuesday. I did news on a radio station Wednesday, and I had Randy Jackson of Zebra, who's supposed to have been the next Led Zeppelin, opened up for Sammy Hagar, and I've got you. So it's crazy stuff. But yes, I look forward to you planning some good stuff, and we'll take care of that in a minute. But you have a match tomorrow. I want to promote it before I give you something. I know you're a very busy man. So let's talk about what's ahead here coming up in the Apex Wrestling Federation. You've got a big show down there. I'm going to put that poster up, and let's talk about it for a few minutes.
Yeah, absolutely. So tomorrow in Mesa, Arizona at the Red Mountain Rec Center, I'm going one-on-one with the Swamp Stomper, the Cosmic Cajun, the one, the only, Billy Crook.
I heard of Billy Crook. That's going to be a good one. It's going to be a banger.
Absolutely. And again, Billy Crook and I are absolutely no strangers to each other.
Yeah, I knew that.
He and I have wrestled tag team matches. I actually, when I was the Sonoran Championship Wrestling Heatwave Championship, he was one of my defenses. I had to defend against him. He is wily. He is crazy. He is one of those wrestlers, like, as much as I'm trying to prepare for Victor Ursus, he is a wrestler that no matter how hard you prepare, he does something different every single time. I mean, it's just trying to catch the guy, you know. There's a reason why he's called the Cosmic Cajun, and it is going to be it's going to be a struggle to try to beat him tomorrow. So, Billy Crook, I hope you're watching too, brother, because tomorrow I've been training, I've been eating my oatmeal so that I can beat you too.
So is the prep, I would imagine then preparation's different Saturday for next week. I mean, got to be a different strategy or different preparation, no?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. You know, like I keep alluding to, Billy Crook is quick. He's fast. He's all over the place. And so I got to be mentally prepared for that. And I got to be quick. You know, tomorrow's game plan is all about catching him and grounding him. Because if you can't ground him, he's going to get the upper hand on you really quickly.
For sure, and that's obviously a huge difference here, and I have the poster up for it, and you're going to see it here coming up. Billy Crook versus Ramrock. That's going to take place at the Apex Wrestling Federation at the Red Mountain Center there. Doors open 6:30 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. We're here Eastern Standard Time. That's going to be at Mountain Standard Time, and that's also going to be at the Red Mountain Center, 7550 East Adobe Street, like Adobe Acrobat Reader, in beautiful Mesa, Arizona, 85207 the zip code. Tickets are now available. Go to awfwrestling.com and get this. Front row is only $25 for the presale, $30 at the door. It's a great deal considering what's going on in this world. General admission is $20 for the presale, $25 at the door. You get a 4-pack for $60 in the presale. Front row, get this, 4-pack for $75 plus 3D sports cards and collectibles is promoting it, inkedautoglass.com. So it's a really, really cool show. A lot of great wrestlers are going to be there. I love independent wrestling. I got to tell you, I love especially what our friends do in Arizona do. I know a lot of different wrestlers that have come on my platform from the great state of Arizona, and Arizona's always got a special fond place in my heart. I had a cousin that lived up the block from me who, is here in New York City, and he moved to Arizona. He went into the air conditioning business, but then he decided, well, it was too hot for him, and he came back here. But he should have probably stayed in Arizona, but I haven't seen him since. So who knows? But that's okay. But check out obviously the Apex Wrestling Federation, and we'll certainly see what else happens here. It's a great show coming up here. But let me ask you though this question before I give you something in a minute. If there were one or two moments in your career that stood out most, what would they be?
Oh man. That's a tough one. That's 15.
Yeah, when I asked Randy Jackson of Zebra that question, it was almost like it was funny. He kind of like paused, and I told him too much. Well, I'm like, well, you got a gold record. I was like, yeah, we're in Jefferson Airplane for a minute. He's like, oh yeah. So sometimes people come on when I have to almost answer the question for them. But you're a big man. You're a big meaty man, and I'll give you a pass. Don't worry about it. But
I appreciate that. Yeah, I mean, obviously. Winning my first heavyweight championship was very, very special. It was up in Flagstaff, Arizona. Yeah. I had been in the business probably about 5 years at this point, and I was, getting a little frustrated, getting a little anxious, and going into this show, I had no idea that I was even going to be in a title match. I had no idea what was going on. And then so showing up, and then, obviously, okay, we're booking you against the champ, and, winning that title in front of that audience out there was an incredible moment for me. Absolutely. And then, I guess a secondary moment would be just sharing the ring with just various legends,
Sure.
just oh man, it's so hard to even like really narrow down any one person, but
What was
yeah.
Savio like 2 months ago? What was it like with Savio? Being in the locker room with him.
Well, Savio, I didn't get to. I wasn't actually at that show, unfortunately. I would have loved to interact and talk with Savio, but I'm sure that was incredible experience. I mean, how
Yeah,
much knowledge and
I've talked to some guys about that. Yeah, I talked to some guys about that. But I can see being in there, a lot of veterans, and getting that advice. A lot of guys I talk to talk about seminars, and those are some great stuff. But also, you're going to be in action here in 2 weeks with your tag team partner. You guys are the IZW Tag Team Champions. So
yep.
let's talk about that for a minute.
Absolutely. Yep. Bobby Jackson, the Ramrock. Together we are Celtic Calamity, and we are your IZW Tag Team Champions. I'm really excited for this show because this is at the Game On Expo in Phoenix,
I did
Arizona.
see that. Yes, I did see that.
Yep. Absolutely. And this is a collaboration between IZW Party Hard Wrestling versus Pro and Wrestle Drag. And so this is going to be this is going to be an amazing show. And expo shows are always a ton of fun.
Yeah, they're big. Yeah.
They're huge. There's fans everywhere. And you get the casual fans, you get people that may not necessarily be wrestling fans. And so to get an opportunity to earn, to show maybe non-wrestling fans what we get to do and how awesome our business is, that's always exciting to me. So yeah, I'm really excited to be defending those titles with my partner Bobby at this show.
What is Bobby like as a tag partner?
Bobby is incredible. He's got more years in the ring than I do, and he is just that guy is. He is deceptively fast, let me tell you. And he does an elbow drop off the top rope that would make the Macho Man jealous. Let me tell you, he's an incredible partner. I love tagging with beautiful Bobby Jackson.
I could see that, and I think also what the expos coming up means maybe some time to sell some merchandise. Big crowds, maybe time to go out and put the merchandise out there. So that'll take place coming up April 4th to the 6th. You can buy tickets at GameOnExpo.com. That's GameOnExpo.com. And, of course, Celtic Calamity will be in action, our IZW Tag Team Champion. So definitely check it out. You can see some of the sponsors there. So a lot of big stuff coming up here for the Ramrock. A lot of places you're going to see him here. Obviously, you're also going to see him here coming up April 5th. You're going to see that there. That's also going to take place in Albuquerque, New Mexico. Boy, some really interesting places there. Phase 1 Pro Wrestling, that's going to be a war, and you're going to see him here. Certainly going to come back to Thunder Mountain, but you can also see him against Odyssey, a man you have a lot of history with at Bull Shooters. I mean, that's WrestleMania weekend. I mean, that's exciting.
Odyssey Jackson is a match that I am extremely excited for, and if I'm being a little honest, I'm being fully honest, I'm a little scared. Odyssey is 6'4". He's 400 pounds. He is a
But you wrestled Bronson in a dog collar match and nearly killed him.
Absolutely. And if anything is going to prepare me to go to war against Odyssey, it was probably that dog collar match with Stud Bronson. And just like I said in my promo to Odyssey, I have built my career beating men bigger than me. So yeah, absolutely. I'm ready for this match. I can't wait for this match. April the 18th, I'm defending that U.S. title against Odyssey from NXT, and I absolutely cannot wait for this match.
Yeah, this is a man that, a lot of people know. This is a man that everybody's going to be looking at this match intently. It's a match you've been looking forward to. It's a man that obviously, you got some history that you've been, dealing with, and you can see the poster here from the show. It's going to be a huge crowd. WrestleMania weekend. The German Dread takes on, again, the one and only Mr. Odyssey Jackson. It's going to be the American Warrior Wrestling Alliance. It's going to be the U.S. champ in action defending that title. You can go to the Ramrock's Instagram page for more information. There you see him with Stud Bronson. There you can see him here in a whole bunch of shows. A lot of stuff here coming up May 10th. Going to be Legends Never Die, another Bull Shooter show. You can get tickets, a lot of places, 3D sports cards, just a lot of stuff. And, of course, this match, it's going to take place. It's going to be next Friday, the Base Brawl, the War Bear, Victor Ursus against the German Dread, the Ramrock. But before I let you go here and come back to a few other final things, as I promised, I do have something for you because I do things a little differently on Sportswire Radio. I
can't wait.
I know that you've done some of the circuit before, but like I said, I do things here a little differently because, on this platform, you got an intro the way I gave it to you. And, I'm going to put this up on the screen. You don't really have much of a choice at this point, but I'm going to put it up anyway on the screen because it's a special moment. I actually gave myself an out to do this because we did Zebra in the Hall of Fame. But today, on this date, March 21st, 2025, it is the Ramrock Day on all Sportswire radio platforms. And congratulations. I'll give you a day. I was going to give Randy and Zebra a day, but, Zebra, let me put them in the Hall of Fame. Let me give Ramrock the day. The next time you come on, we'll put you in the Hall of Fame. You'll come on here, and, we'll talk with you again, and we'll put you in the Hall. But let me give you a day, and I thought it'd be a good time to have you. It's a huge, huge day on Sportswire, a big day in the world. And, congratulations on that. And all of my platforms, YouTube, Instagram, Twitch, TikTok, LinkedIn, even. Yes, I'm on LinkedIn, Facebook, I'm sportswireradio.org, and Tumblr, and everywhere else I am. It is the Ramrock Day. So, congratulations, sir.
I am tremendously honored. Thank you so much. It's a tremendous honor to get this certificate of appreciation and to be inducted into the Sportswire Radio Hall of Fame. So I thank you, Reverend. I appreciate this.
Yes, and then we have people here. Mine is coming soon. Well, you just one step at a time. This is the Ramrocks moment. But thank you, Remy. Yes, you'll get something soon. I promise you. Yes, well, a lot of people want soon. Yes, I had another thing to the list. Absolutely, and yeah, congratulations,
thank you, brother.
No question about that. We'll give you the physical copy in a minute, but let's come back to Victor Ursus to get ready to close the show. I know you're a very busy man. You got a show coming up here tomorrow. So let me ask you then, for those that are out there before next week, do you have any final words for Victor Ursus before Base Brawl at Thunder Mountain Wrestling? Do you have any final words for the war?
Oh, I thought you'd never ask.
No,
let me tell you this.
Let me tell you. You knew I was going to ask you this question. Come on.
I appreciate this. I appreciate this platform. So War Bear, man, I hope you're listening because next Saturday, when you step in the ring with the Ramrock, the German Dread, the Great Destroyer, you are staring across the ring from your greatest opponent that you have ever faced. This isn't just about title versus title. This is about the very soul, the very business of Thunder Mountain Pro Wrestling. You have held Thunder Mountain as a hostage for the last 6 months. And I plan on saving Thunder Mountain Wrestling and taking you down, War Bear, and becoming the new Thunder Mountain Wrestling World Heavyweight Champion. Because when the smoke is cleared, the dust is settled, and all is said and done, War Bear, you will call me the Great Destroyer.
I'll tell you what. He may have said that opportunities at World Heavyweight Championships don't come often, but you know what? He's going to make up for it and some here coming up. Next Friday, Thunder Mountain Wrestling's latest show. And it's a free one here. And it's dedicated to all of those who are certainly fighting for us and in the armed forces. And we certainly want to thank them for everything they do for us here in this country. But it's going to be a war like no other. It is Base Brawl. The doors open 6 o'clock Mountain Standard Time. Bell time is 7 o'clock, and we're going to see it here coming up. It's going to be the American Warrior Wrestling Alliance United States champion, the one and only, the German Dread, the Ramrock, is going to take on the War Bear himself, the reigning, defending Thunder Mountain Wrestling heavyweight champion, Victor Ursus. It is going to be a war like no other, and Victor Ursus in his own right has wrestled 45 times in 2024. But you know what? The German Dread, the Ramrock ain't too far behind him, and this is going to be a war like no other. You thought the door collar match was one for the ages. You thought what Victor Ursus went through. You thought what the Ramrock went through to win the Tenny Invitational was a lot. Wait until you see next weekend. Wait until you see what's to come, and that's going to take place at the Fort Huachuca, Arizona Eifler Gym. So you can go get more details on the Ramrock's Instagram page, Thunder Mountain Wrestling's Facebook, YouTube, Instagram pages. Thunder Mountain Wrestling has been a great partner and friend to us here on Sportswire Radio, and we're so grateful for the opportunity to speak with the legendary Ramrock, a man It is also on Ramrock Day here in all Sportswire radio platforms. And yeah, Ryan's going to see you there, and I wish I was there. And Ramrock will have an acceptance speech. Yeah, he'll come back on. We'll give him an acceptance speech. Yes, and also
Absolutely.
remember everyone deployed. Yes, we thank all of our veterans. I am always a big supporter of the armed forces, those who are out there, putting their line, their bodies on the line and their lives on the line for us to enjoy the things that we enjoy. We take sometimes things for granted, and those are the people that have been doing that, whether they're stationed abroad, whether they're working for the country in different ways. It's those who are in the military. And I always think about my father's cousin who was in the draft in Vietnam and never came back. So we want to thank our veterans and all the things they greatly do. So we want to say thank you to Thunder Mountain Wrestling. And I know you're a busy man, so let me pass the baton to you. Let me give you some closing thoughts, champ. And anything else you want to plug, share, or say, the floor may be yours, and take it away.
I mean, you've already plugged him, but I'm going to continue to plug him. Everybody, please go follow Thunder Mountain Wrestling. It is one of the hottest up-and-coming pro wrestling promotions in Arizona.
Yeah.
Every single time. These are sellout crowds. These are massive audiences. I promise you, buy your ticket. You are going to have the best time ever. Thunder Mountain Wrestling is definitely one of the most
storylines. It's very, the social media is always daily active, and it's just a company that's just, it's firing on all cylinders right now.
Absolutely. And the very last thing, obviously, I want to thank you, Tom, for having me on your show. I really appreciate this opportunity to speak with you, to speak with your audience, and I appreciate this platform. And lastly, as we talked about earlier, this is my final 9 months. And so I just want to thank each and every person who has ever bought a ticket, who's ever said hello to me on social media, who's ever supported me, whether you cheered me, whether you booed me. I just want to say thank you. And the best is yet to come.
I always say that. I'm always a believer in that. I'm a believer in the rising tide lifts all boats. And listen, you're going to make this 9 months last. You got a lot of matches ahead still. You're going to probably be in the ring, I would imagine, at least like 15 to 20 more times. And, I'm telling you, those matches we're going to be talking a lot about here on Sportswire. So you're going to come back here after some of these recent events. We're going to talk about it. I'm excited. I'm going to put you in the Hall of Fame. And I want to say one of my buddies who's tuned in, Mr. Cameron Cage, is out there. He wanted to say hello. Thank you, Cameron. And if you missed the interview, you can check out the Instagram page of the Ramrock. You can also check out here some of the stuff in Thunder Mountain Wrestling. And they're on YouTube. And this is the Ramrock. The German Joe is going to be in action tomorrow against Billy Crook in Apex Wrestling. But you're going to see him coming up next weekend at a part of Thunder Mountain Wrestling's Base Brawl. He's going to be wrestling, again, a man. I don't even know how the ring's still going to stand. Listen, I hope that Thunder Mountain Wrestling's got that ring insured, because you and Victor Ursus are going to put on, let's say, a match. And yes, thank you, Ryan, for your support. He said thank to us, and we appreciate that very much. But
thank you, Ryan.
All right, good luck. We will definitely see you soon. Thank you so much, and congratulations, champ, on the success. And good luck tomorrow and next week. And we'll talk about it, I'm sure, in a few weeks.
Absolutely, looking forward to it. Thank you, sir.
All right, that was the one and only, the German Dread, the Ramrock, the American Warrior Wrestling Alliance United States champion. He's going to be in the ring here tomorrow against Billy Crook in the Apex Wrestling Federation's latest show. You're also going to see him with Thunder Mountain Wrestling next weekend. Going to be wrestling for the Thunder Mountain Wrestling Heavyweight Championship against the one and only, the War Bear, Victor Ursus. A lot of Bears references coming up today on Sportswire. Of course, Zebra had a song, Bears, that was directed in the music video by Marty Colner, God rest his soul, but a lot of stuff out there. Also, before we go, I do want to say my thoughts and prayers to all the boxing fans, because George Foreman, I just read, has passed away literally a few minutes ago. So that's definitely thoughts and prayers. And if you own a George Foreman grill, definitely fire up a burger or two, if that's a thing still. I don't know if those things are still active, but my thoughts and prayers to all the boxing and fans of George Foreman. But thank you, everybody. My name is the Reverend Tom Bryce, your voice, figuratively and literally, where all wrestling matters. And if you're here on Sportswire Radio, like, subscribe, and share this interview, and hit the sub button for us. And yes, Remy, George Foreman died. Maybe I'll talk about it in a little while, but he's dead at the age of 76. Yes, he's dead at 76, and maybe I'll talk about that and come on the air for that. But until then, thank you so much, everybody, and good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are, on the number one global radio station that is Sportswire Radio, where all wrestling matters. Thank you so much, everybody. Have a great night.